Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome into the stream. NBA action is finally here, ladies and gentlemen. I am super excited to get into it today. First up, we've got Rockets at Thunder, and then we've got the Warriors on the road to a LeBron-less Los Angeles Lakers team that, quite frankly, in my opinion, is probably going to be struggling to start the season. This Lakers team is not a championship contender, even with LeBron on the court. They couldn't even make it past the Minnesota Timberwolves, let alone get to the Western Conference Finals and beat the reigning NBA champions, the Oklahoma City Thunder. Let's get started first with probably the second, a lot of people argue, best player in the NBA. That's SGA, coming off an NBA MVP season, scoring title, finals MVP, NBA championship. This guy has done it all, and he can do it in every facet of the game, besides, of course, post defending. And he can do that at a high level when he's guarding somebody his size. So this guy plays excellent defense. He distributes the basketball. He can grab rebounds, and he can score almost as good as anybody in NBA history. It's unbelievably hard these days to average 30 points per game with how grueling the NBA season can be, how much better defenses have gotten over the past 10 to 15 years. And with how spread out the game is, it's kind of hard to be a isolation type guard. There's not a lot of players that do that these days. I mean, think about some of the other big time scorers in the league. Kevin Durant is one of them. Well, he's 6'11, right? SGA doesn't have that ability. Now, he is a big guard, and that plays a massive factor into his ability to shoot the mid range jumper, to drive to the basket on smaller guards. But overall, there's nothing that I can say to go against his game. He is by far a top 3 consensus player in the league. There's really no arguing that right now. If you are arguing it, I guess you got to start arguing with the brick wall, because he's undeniable at this point. I mean, it was different last season when he started the year. Everybody was like, well, maybe this is his prove it year. Well, he damn sure proved it now. And he is on a tear in terms of statistics and awards. All NBA first team consensus guy. I am a huge fan of SGA's game. I know a lot of people come in here and they say, oh man, SGA is a foul baiter and blah, blah, blah. I wonder if they were saying the same thing about James Harden, or a beloved figure in the NBA and somebody that I adore, Kobe Bryant. He shot just as many free throws as SGA did last season. So, I'm going off on a tangent here as people start to roll in. Welcome into the chat, guys. I am super excited. Drop your NBA picks below for today's games. We've got Rockets at Thunder, and then we've got Warriors at Lakers. I'm going to go ahead and get started and kind of talk about my analysis for this game before I get into some of the statistics and analytics. The Houston Rockets are going to run a giant lineup. Kevin Durant is going to be playing the shooting guard tonight at 6'11". Jabari Smith Jr. at the 3 at 6'11". Alperen Sengun at the 4 at 6'11". And last but not least, Steven Adams at the 5 at 6'11". And then to wrap it all up, point guard position, you think, hey, maybe they want somebody a little bit smaller. It's Amen Thompson, probably the most athletic player in the league right now, at a nice sharp 6'7". So I am unbelievably excited to watch and see what this giant lineup looks like for the Rockets. The one thing that I think they're going to try to control in this game is the offensive rebounding. It's a massive part of why they were competitive against the Golden State Warriors, especially in those early games. Look at Steven Adams' stats. He probably played a grand total of like 20-ish minutes a game in the latter part of the season. But going up against the Warriors, he had some meaningful moments. And you see here in some of these games, 12 rebounds, 7 rebounds, 7 rebounds, playing pretty limited minutes here for a guy that's supposed to be starting this upcoming season. Those offensive rebounds and second chance points were a massive part of the Rockets' success in the postseason. So I think he's going to play another pivotal point here for the Houston starting the season. Him and Clint Capella. There's a clear identity to the lower half of this Rockets, or I guess what do they call it in the NBA? The front court. There's a clear identity in the front court with Steven Adams and Clint Capella running the five. And that's second chance opportunities are unbelievably important. Now, Adams and Capella, well, Capella more than Adams, but both of these guys are not necessarily known as elite rim protectors per se. But I do think they do a better job than average at protecting the basket. Definitely better than their counterpart here versus OKC tonight, Isaiah Hartenstein, who is a pretty good center, if I do say so. But I mean, I don't think he's a top 5, top 7 center in the league. So it's the game tonight to me. It's a 6.5 point spread. I think given the fact that there's a lot of distractions going on tonight, 6.5 point spread seems like a lot. It's ring night for OKC. And I think Adams and Capella are both savvy veterans who know how to get to their spots and grab rebounds. Now, Adams' number here is set at 6.5. That seems like a lot, just because I am not guaranteeing I'm not guaranteed him getting more than 20 or 25 minutes. And if we look, let's look here and see filter by minutes, and we'll go more than 20 minutes. And well, you know what? He's averaging 9 rebounds a game. That's actually a good amount. And let's see if we can get some numbers versus OKC. Recently, we have one game here versus OKC on the 4th of April of this year, last season, 12 rebounds. I kind of like that number. Now let's see what year this was right here. This is December of 2022. So Adams, like I said, has not really played a lot of games with 20 plus minutes on his scorecard here. It does show, though, however, when he does, he's grabbing that many rebounds. Let's see if there's any factors on the road here. On the road, it's the same. He's averaging 10. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go out on a limb and go over 7.5 rebounds, plus 126 for Adams tonight. I do think that he's going to end up with around 20 minutes, and I'm going to go ahead and confirm that with some preseason stuff. Now, obviously, the preseason is a different animal, but one thing is for certain. No NBA veteran that's worth their salt, like Steven Adams, is going to be playing high minutes, or at least high projected minutes in the preseason. So what I mean by that is, for example, Stephen Curry, obviously superstar in the league, averages 36 minutes a game, right? We're never going to see Stephen Curry play 36 minutes in an NBA preseason game. So he'll probably play like 27, 28 minutes. Now, if Adams in one of these or two of these games where the starters are actually playing, let's go take a look at the Rockets schedule real quick. This is on an offhand here, or off screen. Let's go look. October 18th. Let's see. Durant played in these early games versus the Hawks. That must mean the starting lineup was on. I'm looking specifically for a game where all of the starters played at once. I'm talking about the big lineup. Let's see here. We've got Kevin Durant, Jabari Smith, Alperen Sengun. Okay, here we go. Now that's Reed Shepherd. Let's see how many minutes Steven Adams played in this game. Steven Adams was a DNP in this game. Steven Adams averaged 16 minutes in the game versus the Hawks. He grabbed 5 rebounds, okay? Did they ever run their big lineup? Let's see. 133, 122. How about that game versus New Orleans? Did they run the lineup then? I think that game was played in Birmingham, Alabama, actually. Let's see if they ran that big lineup. Aha, they sure did. Here we go. Sengun, Adams, Jabari Smith, Kevin Durant, Amen Thompson. Adams played 24 minutes and grabbed 9 rebounds in that game. That's the kind of stuff that I'm looking for here. And they played a New Orleans Pelicans team with Yves Missi, I believe is how you pronounce his name. He had 10 points, 10 rebounds. That's a comp to Hartenstein, but not like a 1-for-1. So I like Adams here over 7.5 rebounds. I think he gets around 20-ish to maybe 22 minutes in this game. And you can see when he has played 20 minutes like he did last year for the Rockets, all of these games here in 2025, He's averaging 9 rebounds a game. So going one under that, he definitely can hit that line. Now, in some of these games versus the Warriors, he was just flat out outnumbered when trying to grab rebounds. I don't think the same will be said versus OKC. We can see here that even against OKC last year, I mean, he had some very limited minutes, but 6 minutes, 6 rebounds, right? 22 minutes in that game in April, 12 rebounds. Some of these other games are way back in the day, but looking specifically here at this chunk here, I see 6 minutes, 6 rebounds, 3 minutes, 1 rebound. I wonder what happened in this game right here. 15 minutes, just 2 rebounds. But I'm really relying on this number right here, 20 minutes for Adams. He's averaging 9 rebounds. He hit it in 50% of his games. Meanwhile, centers for against OKC are averaging 5.2, but this is Miles Turner and Rudy Gobert. So I kind of want to look at the last 30 games, and I want to see if that number shoots up from 5.2. 8.7 centers are averaging. And we could go back and look at some of these games. Classic rebounders like Adams. Let's see. Let's look at some other classic rebounders. Jalen Duren had 13. This is Kyle Filipowski. Wow. Jeremiah Robinson Earl played center for the Pelicans. But here we go. Zach Edey, 9, 7, and 7. That's kind of where we're projecting Adams, and I like the plus value here of plus 126. So I'm going to go my first pick tonight. FanDuel has it at plus 126. Steven Adams over 7.5 rebounds. Okay. Now there's another rebounding prop that I like here. That was, let's see, this is FanDuel, I believe, plus 126. FanDuel. There was another rebounding prop that I liked. Now, we're just now getting started with the NBA season. Some of these games are really hard to read, in my opinion. I don't know if I'm going to get every pick right. Shoot me, right? It's game 1 of the NBA season. Steven Adams could come out, be in the starting lineup, and play 10 minutes. We don't really know what's going to happen. We can only make educated guesses. My educated guess, however, is him and Clint Capella are going to get some meaningful minutes tonight. The Rockets make a key emphasis on rebounding here. Clint Capella's number is at 4.5 rebounds. And if I'm not mistaken, let me go back and let me take another look at Clint Capella during the NBA preseason here. I want to confirm this for you guys, so I'm not just throwing out errant picks, right? Once again, veterans do not play a ton of minutes. And so if you are a veteran that plays a considerable amount of minutes, that shows me that the coaching staff is planning on playing you in some of these games. So let's go take a look at the Houston Rockets, and we'll look at their 4 preseason games and see how many minutes Clint Capella played in some of these games where the starters were actually playing. So the starters had a DNP versus the Hawks in game 1 versus the Pelicans. That game, Capella had 21 minutes, grabbed 6 rebounds. Next up, versus the Jazz, the starters played a considerable amount. Clint Capella played 18 minutes, grabbed 7 rebounds. The Hawks and Rockets played yet again. I believe this was the first preseason game where some of the starters played, and Clint Capella in that game played 18 minutes and grabbed 5 rebounds. So I once again think that the Houston Rockets, once again, emphasizing offensive rebounds. I see D Betts has joined the chat. Yes, sir. How about JSN? Fire in that win, man. Now, it was rough on the pick side of thing, but I'm glad that you stuck out with JSN. RIP to Mike Evans, by the way. Man, that was a brutal injury to watch. But back to this Houston outlook here. I really like Capella. I think he's going to play around 15 minutes tonight, just rough estimate. And when he plays 15 minutes, he's going over this rebounding here 70% of the time, just because this is his game, right? Clint Capella has a strong emphasis on grabbing rebounds. He's going to be better at it than Hartenstein. And if he doesn't have to play with Adams on the floor, which I don't think the Rockets would pair Capella and Adams on the floor at the same time, they're probably going to split those minutes together. And so I'm going to shoot for over 4.5 rebounds. Now, it is a minus prop tonight, minus 104 via underdog. Let's go take a look and make sure that that's still the line. That's what I had it early. 109 now via underdog. Still a one worth taking, in my opinion, because Clint Capella, once again, he gets boards. And as you can see here, points plus rebounds also goes over. His points plus rebounds right now is at 8.5. I would strongly consider taking that over as well. I'd go as far to say as, well, that's via what betting? Splash Sports? Ladies and gentlemen, I've never heard of Splash Sports in my life, but to each his own, I guess. DraftKings has got, okay, this is where I know that we found value, right? So we see it. DraftKings has got his points plus rebounds at 10.5, minus 119. That means he's got to grab at least 5 points, 5 or 6 rebounds, really, to go over that number. But they're projecting if he's going slightly under that, 5 points, 5 rebounds, 6 points, 4 rebounds, something of the sorts. He tends to grab just as many rebounds as he is points. And so that split of 5 and 5, I absolutely think that that's going to go over. His line at 3.5, that seems really low. DraftKings has got it at 5.5, minus 107. I don't know if there's any value in this 7.5. I mean, he's done it in 80% of his last 10 games where he's played 15 or more minutes. I mean, that's plus 344 via underdog. Do we go out on a limb with that? That's a lot right there from underdog. Wow. When he plays 15 minutes, I mean, he's doing it 80% of the time. Do we have any numbers versus OKC? I mean, this is years and years and years and years ago. Oh, man. 15 minutes for OKC. Look at what he's done on the rebounding category. I'm gonna go ahead. No, that seems like no, I'm gonna go ahead and go out on a limb. And I'm not saying that he's gonna hit this. This is gonna be our long shot play of the night. Clint Capella over 7.5 points plus 344. That's just like if you go and look at what DraftKings has got this number at, DraftKings has got this number at plus 197. So you're receiving 150 points in value for the same number. That's incredible. So we have to stick with that there. Now we're reaching here. This is a big, big reach. So if you're a little scared of that line, I don't blame you at all. I think just going out on a limb and taking 7.5 there is a good idea. I think Clint Capella and Steven Adams are going to split about 20 minutes for Adams and about 15 minutes for Capella. And if Capella can come out and grab a few offensive rebounds like pretty much everyone's expecting him to, I think he can have a couple putbacks and a couple good pick and rolls. This offense is going to flow through Kevin Durant and Alperen Sengun. And so those are the next two guys that I want to look at here. These are my props. I do think that this game is set at 226.5. I have the under at under 225.5 because I want to grab some plus money. Looking at the last 8 opening NBA games, the under has hit 7 out of 10 times. Specifically with OKC and Houston, they seem to go over in a lot of their games recently, right? We see that they're averaging 232 and 232. Well, this Houston team looks completely different, right? They're more defensive minded. They're longer. They're not faster, but they're bigger. I think they're going to keep OKC out of the paint, force them to shoot threes. And the Thunder are not necessarily an elite 3-point shooting team. They're good. They're efficient, but they're not a Golden State Warriors. They're not a Houston Rockets team from a few years ago with Harden. They're not a Boston Celtics from a couple of years ago. This OKC team thrives on dribble drive penetration. And if the Thunder can stay long and lanky like their starting lineup suggests that they will, I think it'll be a little harder for the Thunder to score tonight. And then vice versa. The Thunder's defense is a vice grip. SGA, Jalen Williams, Alex Caruso, Lou Dort, the Dortcher Chamber. Now, some of these guys are smaller in stature, but we saw what Alex Caruso was able to do against Nikola Jokic in the playoffs. So it's not like they haven't seen a tall lineup before. It's not like they haven't gone up against all of these players before. I think it is going to be a little harder to score. So I'm going to go under 225.5. That's plus 110 at ProfitX. Big books have it. Let's see. Under ESPN Bet's got it at plus 100. I got it a little bit earlier at Hard Rock plus 105, so that's what I'll be sticking with. But ESPN Bet at plus 100, I don't think those odds are terrible. This line, I believe, let's go take a look at it here. Let's see what they opened up at, because this is some good. It opened at 226.5, so it's pretty much stayed the same. I saw it earlier at 227.5, but it's come right back down to 226. The lines have shifted slightly. I think under 225 had gotten all the way up to plus 115. Now it's down to about plus 100. So I think some people are starting to put some money on the under, and I don't blame them at all. I think both of these teams are defensive minded, and they know each other well. Like Sengun knows the Thunder well and vice versa. But Kevin Durant literally did not play against the Oklahoma City Thunder at all last season. That's something that I think will be a factor. And so let's get started with my other player props. Moving off the bench here and talking about Kevin Durant specifically. This guy is still one of the best to do it in terms of scoring year in and year out. He is elite to say the least. Let's filter out his minutes because he's going to be playing 30 tonight at least. 30 minutes a game. He's averaging over 2.5 threes 70% of the time. He's averaging over 4.5 rebounds 80% of the time. The reason I want to stick away from his rebounding prop tonight is because the Rockets are running so big and other players like Amin Thompson are rebounding freaks, right? We see Amin's averaging 6.8 rebounds a game, right? So Durant, I don't know how many rebound chances he's going to get with this Rockets lineup, but what I do want to look at is Alperen Sengun, not an elite three-point shooter. Amin Thompson, not at all an elite three-point shooter. I mean, he's made 3 threes in his last 10 games. Kevin Durant is an elite three-point shooter, and the Rockets have to stretch the floor somehow, some way. Kevin Durant is the guy to do that. And I see that his line at 2.5 threes is plus money right now at Novig. BetMGM's got it plus 110. Let's go back and let's take a look at some of these Rockets games where Kevin Durant did indeed play in the preseason. I want to see how many three-pointers not only did he make, but how many did he attempt. So let's see. Let's find the games that he did play in. Box score versus the Hawks. Where's Kevin Durant? Kevin Durant, DNP on that one. Box score on the Pelicans game. Kevin Durant did play 28 minutes, 0 for 3 from 3. Only attempted 3 three-pointers. Jabari Smith cranked up 10. So these are some early identifying factors. Let's go find another game. Box score, Kevin Durant was the leading scorer in that game versus the Jazz. He only cranked up 2 threes. Jabari Smith cranked up 5. So it seems that Jabari Smith Jr. is going to be the three-point chucker for the Rockets. Let's see, the game versus the Hawks, last one of the season. Kevin Durant got a DNP, whereas Jabari Smith Jr. played and threw up the most threes out of anyone on the team. So let's go take a look at Jabari Smith Jr.'s line. Jabari Smith Jr., his line is at 1.5. 2.5 is plus 190 via underdog. And we're expecting Jabari Smith Jr. tonight to play around 26, 27 minutes. So let's filter that out. More than 26 minutes. I mean, he's cranking them, right? 6 threes, 5 threes, just 1 3 there, but 9, 7. I mean, he's attempting on average 6 threes. So for expecting him to make 50% of that, that's a lot to ask for, specifically versus OKC. He shoots 2 of 5, 40%. So I think his line at 1.5 is too low. But I do think his line at 2.5 is way too high. Kevin Durant, I thought that this line was 2.5. That was a good line, but I'm actually going to peel away from that. His scoring line at 23.5, I think is interesting. When he plays at least 30 minutes in a game, he's averaging 27. He struggled to score on the road in some of these games. Let's look at what he looks like on the road. On the road, he's averaging 23.8. When he plays against OKC over the last few years, he's gone over that line. But, this is dating back to 2023, 2022. That, to me, is just too far back to try to find some good numbers on. So I think these are big question marks here, but there's just not a lot of scoring to go around for this Houston Rockets team. His line at plus over under 23.5. I would go over 24.5. I think Kevin Durant still is a guy that can get buckets consistently. You can see right here 30 points when he plays 30 minutes. Mm. And with that Suns lineup last year, there were a lot of scores on that team. I definitely cannot say the same for this Rockets team. I like Kevin Durant over 24.5 points right here. Plus, let's see, 24.5 points plus 114 via FanDuel. I like that better than I like his 3-point line. And the reason that I say that is he just doesn't seem like he's going to be the guy to be hoisting up threes. Jabari Smith Jr. looks like the guy who's going to have to stretch the floor. Now, Amin Thompson, his line for over-under threes here is at 158. That, to me, seems really low. I would expect that number based off of his – let's look at his last 30 games. He's averaging – let's see – averaging 0 made threes, right? In the vast majority of these games, he's only hit 1 3 9 times out of 30 games. So to only get plus 158 on that, and that's even via ProfitX, that just seems really low. I'm going to stick away from that prop. His scoring line's at 14.5. I think that's a little high. I expect him to play 30 minutes tonight. So we'll say more than 29 minutes. And when I say I expect him to play 30, I mean like I'm expecting him to play like 34, 35, 36 minutes. But to play it safe, we'll go more than 29 minutes. He's averaging 16 points a game. So no intrinsic value there. Rebounds are at 6.5. I think that's pretty high considering this tall lineup here for Houston. That he's not going to be playing a lot down low. There's not going to be a lot of transition looks. I don't like these numbers for him either. Let's go look at some OKC numbers because I've talked about Kevin Durant, talked about Clint Capella and Steven Adams. Let's go look at some SGA numbers. Let's see what we like here. SGA versus Houston over the last 10 games has been averaging 33 points per game, but he's under the 32.5 60% of the time. I think that's pretty interesting. Look at the last 10 games for Houston against point guards. Point guards only averaging 20 points per game. This is over the last 30 games. The point guards have only hit over 20 or over 32.5 points 5 times. And we can look at who did it. Guys like Stephen Curry, Luka, James Harden, SGA. Those are the guys that hit the over line. Jamal Murray apparently had 39, but the special point guards in the league end up doing this. I don't know if SGA is going to do this 32.5. I mean, he averaged 30 last year, so let's not act like this is out of the realm of possibilities. If I had to lean here, I'd lean on the under. Let's see what the under looks like for 32.5. Minus 125. Oh, no, I'm sticking away from that. That's too juicy for me. 31.5. Let's see. Under. Big time market. FanDuel's got it at plus 104. I don't like it. I mean, SGA, like I said, averaging 33 points per game versus Houston. Over his last 10, he's averaging 30. That's really close to his line. His assist line is at 6.5. That seems kind of high. I mean, he was very ball dominant in the playoffs, but regular season wise, we could see that number's at 6.3. Regular season wise, it goes up to 6.7. I don't know. That seems really high. I think sticking to what I was talking about here with rebounding props via the centers, that's a good idea. So I'm looking at Adams and Clint Capella. Let's look at Lou Dort. His line set at 2.5. I don't think he's going to be playing as many minutes like he was in the playoffs. Let's look at this number. So this number's at 31 right now, and we're looking at playoff numbers, but let's expound it onto 30 games. Drops down to 29.1. So he plays less minutes there in the regular season than he does in the playoffs. So for him to hit 2.5 threes would be a lot to ask for. So, guys, I'm looking, by the way, at all these numbers via the doinksports.com website. Go check it out for yourself. You can look at almost any type of prop imaginable for the NBA. We're talking player props. We can look at bench props, the over-under, team props, sides, You can track your bets as well. I am a massive fan of this. It expounds on all of these different props. You can test out different lines. So right now, Luke Dort, if you want to go 3.5 threes over, it's plus 360. And then not only can you do that, you can track the bet here and go to FanDuel and you can compare it to other books, right? If you were at Caesars betting on Caesars and instead you wanted to go with FanDuel, you would get 55 points of value there to take the over. So it's the best way, in my opinion, to leverage every single position that you have and educate yourself using the analytics and statistics ahead of you. You can customize what you're looking at. You can filter by field goal attempt, filter by minutes. You can filter with and without players. There's just so much you can do with the Doink Sports tool. I strongly recommend you check it out. If you like it, if you check it out and you get to use it for free once or twice, go ahead and look at subscription services, right? I mean, and use my code Plizont. That's PLIZONT. Massive, massive advantage to anybody that wants to wager. Now, I always encourage gamble responsibly. It is a major part of men's health to make sure that you do not fall into gambling addiction. In my opinion, Doink Sports is a way for you to gamble responsibly. This is a great avenue for you to find all of the best plays. Don't throw away your money. Look and educate yourself before you go and do anything. Check out doinksports.com today. Use my code if you're interested. It's there at the bottom for 25% off. Now, let's flip into this Warriors game. So the bets that I like here that I think bring value. It's not that they're going to hit, not going to hit. I think there's value in them. Clint Capella, over 4.5 rebounds. Kevin Durant, over 24.5 points. Alperen Sengun, over 18.5 points. OKC and Houston, team total, under 225.5 points. Steven Adams, over 7.5 rebounds. And Clint Capella, this is my long shot play of the night, over 7.5 points. So those are, I believe, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And for this Warriors game, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 picks set out right now. Let's go ahead and take an overlook here at this Warriors versus Lakers game. Let me take a quick sip of water here. Hydrate. Okay. The Lakers, I think they're having an identity crisis right now. Are they a championship contender? Probably not, right? They're not exactly the championship contender that every Laker fan would like them to be. And while I'm being a little overly critical here, I'm also thinking about the probability of Los Angeles to get to the finals given the stacked Western Conference. I mean, think about all of the elite teams in the West. I think OKC is unbelievable. Houston, even without Fred VanVleet, is good. The Spurs are on the rise. The Warriors, I think, got a little bit better in the offseason with the addition of Al Horford, although he is 39, right? I can't even think of some other teams off the top of my head. The Nuggets got way better in the offseason with the addition of Cam Johnson and the re-addition of somebody like Bruce Brown, Nikola Jokic, one of the best players in the league. The Timberwolves, Anthony Edwards has gotten better every single season he's played. Are we expecting that to stop anytime soon? Right. So even the Clippers, who I actually think won the NBA offseason in terms of additions, but lost it in terms of offseason noise. There's just a lot of factors here. And I do not think the Lakers are a top 5 talented team in the West. And I don't think they're a top 5 scenario in the West, right? LeBron James is going to be, if the Lakers want to compete seriously in the playoffs, LeBron James has to play like he's 5 years younger than he is. And while he's been able to do that for the last couple of seasons, I don't think having his lower leg injury to start the year is a good start. So this is going to be a very Luka-centric team. It reminds me a lot of what the Dallas Mavericks were just a couple of seasons ago when they ended up accidentally rolling into the NBA Finals and getting rolled by the Boston Celtics. But Luka is going to play a massive factor in this Lakers offense to start the season with no LeBron James. I want to go take a look real quick at some of his stat lines in the preseason. Now, of course, guys, it's the preseason. This is not something that I'm just like laying my hat on and saying, oh my gosh, this is the answers to the test, right? But It's the best indication that we quite frankly have out of anything. So I'm going to look at preseason games that Luka played a heavy amount of minutes in. Let's see, Doncic in the Kings and the Suns game. He ended up dropping against the Suns earlier. He dropped 25, 7, and 4. He hit 4 threes, 7 and 9 from the free throw line. Versus the Kings, he dropped 31, 9 assists, 5 rebounds. So once again, per the usual with Luka Doncic, his usage rate is going to be through the roof. Look at his games without LeBron James. Let's look up. Wait. No, this is Draymond Green. Excuse me. Let me scroll down. That's Austin Reeves, Gabe Vincent, Luka Doncic. Without LeBron James, his usage rate is at 30%. I mean, and you can see the games with the Lakers, right? These are the 4 or 5 games with the Lakers, 36%, 45%, 33, 37, 40%. And with LeBron, his usage is actually down a little bit, especially in the playoffs. So I think Luka is going to have some gaudy numbers in the early parts of the season. His line right now for points is 30.5. I think that's a lot of points, but we can't really get a good under on that. Underdog's got it at under 29.5 plus 121. I don't think that's terrible value, but statistically speaking, Luka versus the Lakers has been pretty damn good. He's averaging 31.1, 10 assists, 9 rebounds. Now, this is over a long period of time. I'm going to specifically look at what he's been able to do against the Warriors in these last 4 games, because this is as recent as we can get, right? 30, 12, and 11, 31, 8, and 6, 45, 11, and 13. And now this is with the Mavericks team that I think is comparable to what the Lakers look like this season. The defense is not going to be great. Austin Reeves, not an elite defender. Luka Doncic, obviously not an elite defender. I do think DeAndre Ayton is capable of being a rim protector, but comment in the chat. Do we know DeAndre Ayton, the rim protector? No, right? We know him for kind of being lackadaisical. I'm not trying to be overly critical here, but this Lakers team is going to let up some points, right? So I think this game is going to go well over this 227.5. That's going to be the first play that I'm looking at here. I know that the Lakers offense is limited, but Luka is an offensive mastermind. Look at the games. These are playoff games, by the way. That's why these numbers are so low. Let's filter out the last. So this is at 204.4. Let's filter out the last 30. That number goes up to 218.9, right? So that's a massive overhaul here. You see that this number went from 11 to, let's filter out the last 10, to just 2. So we went from 2 of the last 10 to filtering in more than 29 out of the last 20 go over that 227.5. And then with the Lakers, that number sitting at 216. Filter out the last 30, shoots up to 224.8. So obviously, these are playoff minutes here. As we get deeper into the season, we will have less of these numbers. I think over 227.5 is a good line, plus 100. Great odds, in my opinion. So that's going to be a play for sure. Golden State Warriors and the Los Angeles Lakers over 227.5. Not a lot of distractions here tonight for either team. I think one interesting factor that I'm looking at for both of these teams, or not even both of these teams, it's mainly for the Golden State Warriors, actually, is what does their bench look like? Because right now, Jonathan Kuminga, I believe, is on this Warriors roster. I haven't actually seen anything confirmed or denied. Let's go see if he's played any games here in the preseason. Box score versus the Lakers. Jonathan Kuminga played 15 minutes against the Lakers earlier this year. He had 5 points in 15 minutes versus the Portland Trail Blazers. Jonathan Kuminga, 18 minutes, 3 points. So he's been a non-factor per the usual in the early parts of the season. Jonathan Kuminga again started 5 for 8, 13 points in 22 minutes versus the Lakers in another preseason game. And then the Warriors versus the Trailblazers, Jonathan Kuminga started again, 18 points or 18 minutes and just 7 points. So Kuminga has been kind of a non-factor for the Warriors. Now, Buddy Hield here is sitting at a 2.5 line plus 148. That sounds pretty juicy to me. Let's go track that up and check that out at a major sports book. Hard Rock's got it at plus 135. I like that a lot. Let's see what he was averaging versus the Lakers last year. These are the 4 games that he played versus the Lakers: 17 minutes, 21 minutes, 35 minutes, 12 minutes. So, let's look at what Buddy was doing during the preseason. Where did the Warriors have him in terms of minutes? That's another thing that I'm curious by. Jonathan Kuminga, I see Elijah Taylor's joined the chat, and Hefty Lefty has joined the chat. Welcome in, gentlemen. Hope you guys are doing great. JK should be the starter. Let him loose. I don't disagree with you there. I do think Jonathan Kuminga has a tremendous amount of value to an NBA team, but does he have a tremendous amount of value to the Golden State Warriors? You know, he has at points, but he also hasn't at points. And I think it has to do with the implementation of how he's used by Steve Kerr. I think I'm curious to see what that looks like to start this season. So I'm looking first at this Warriors bench because it is by far the most curious of any. So Buddy Hield in a game where the starters played a lot of minutes, Buddy Hield averaged 18 minutes. Curious. Maybe he gets 15, 20 minutes tonight. Let's see. Buddy Hield in a game versus the Trailblazers, 16 minutes, 5 for 10, 3 for 6 from the field. I mean, he proved himself right in the playoffs later in the season. Let's see. Buddy Hield started in a game versus the Lakers, 23 minutes, 3 of 7, 0 of 3 from the field. Not great, but these are preseason games. I'm specifically looking at minutes here. Buddy Hield, 22 minutes off the bench. That's kind of what I'm suspecting here from Buddy Hield, somewhere in the range of 15 to 20 minutes here for the Warriors tonight. 23 minutes off the bench, 3 for 9 from 3. That's pretty much what I'm thinking here. So let's filter this out, and we'll call it filter more than 16 minutes. So Buddy Hield is averaging, when he plays games more than 16 minutes, let's say on the road, he's averaging 3 threes a game. He's hit it in 50% of his games. Some of these games, he's getting like 9 for 11 versus Houston. I'm very curious to see what that looks like. So 3 for 7. I mean, you're getting plus value here. I like that a lot. I think Buddy can 100% do this. The Lakers are terrible against the 3, in my opinion. If we can go out and look at the game overview, we could see what the Lakers looked like last season. NBA stats. Let's see. Against the spread, starting lineup, 24 points. Lakers starting lineups. Injuries. D'Anthony Melton is out. Jimmy Butler's day-to-day. I wonder if here we go. Buddy Hield off the bench last year, averaged 2.5 made threes. Let's see. Team stats last season. Let's look at defensive leaders. Opponent three-pointers made. The Lakers were 15th in the league. They allowed 13.6 three-pointers made in the league. So I like this number for Buddy Hield, given that it's plus money right here, over 2.5. I think with the factor of D'Anthony Melton being out, let's see if Jimmy Butler is going to play tonight. Jimmy Butler on Instagram just posted a bat signal. So it sounds like Jimmy Butler's locked in for tonight. He will be playing 5 minutes ago. This guy just posted a bat signal. So it sounds like the Warriors are calling his name. I'm really curious to see what he puts up in his first game. For the Warriors last year, he was really hit and miss. You could see in some of these games, I believe he got injured in this game, scoring 8 points. Some of these games, he was really on top of it. Let's expound that in the last 30 games. He was averaging 19.1 for Golden State. A lot of these games are pretty close here, 23, 24, 25. I think the Warriors are going to use him a good amount. He was averaging 34.6 minutes per game for Golden State last year heading into the playoffs. And you could see these playoff games where he's averaging damn near 40-something minutes a game. So I think Jimmy's going to get that high usage again. Let's see. We've got Points plus rebounds plus assists. 31. He's averaging 31. 27.5 is his line. I think we can go ahead and safely take that over. What is that over? Is over 28.5 plus. Oh, over 28.5 is barely plus money. I don't like the over there, even though he's hitting it close to a 60% clip. The rebounds plus assists, he's hitting at a 67% clip at 10.5. 11.5 is plus 142. He's still hitting it at a positive number 53% of the time. I need to see some more info before I really get into it. So my official picks tonight, let's continue. Draymond Green was kind of a non-factor offensively in the playoffs for the Warriors last season, but regular season-wise, he's still a guy that gets it going. Now, Jonathan Kuminga has actually been placed in the starting lineup here. Let me just do a quick Google here. Jonathan Kuminga. Is Jonathan Kuminga going to start? Wow. Jonathan Kuminga is going to start tonight. The Warriors starting lineup. This is as of 2 minutes ago. So this is breaking news for anybody watching this stream. By the way, I see a good amount of our viewers are just now tuning in. Welcome in, everybody. We're looking at the doinksports.com page. Now, real quick, the starting lineup. This is as of 6:15 p.m. This is who's starting. Stephen Curry, Pods, Braden Podziemski, Jonathan Kuminga, Jimmy Butler, Draymond Green. Wow. Was not expecting to see that. So Kuminga's line is now at 14.5 points in this game. I mean, he's hit it in 50% of his last 30 games, and you can see he really came alive there at the end of the season against the Timberwolves, averaging, let's go expound this out. Look at that, averaging 20 points per game, and that's factoring in a game that he only played 7 minutes in. That's 18, 30, 23, 26. So that's a 22 or 23 point per game average when he plays this many minutes. So if he's in the starting lineup, guys, I'm expecting him to play at least 20 to 25 minutes. So we'll go more than 23 minutes here. We'll filter that out. He's averaging 18 a game. Kuminga could absolutely be the play here. His line's at 14.5. Might be a misprice because they were not expecting him to be in the starting lineup. I wasn't either. Let's see what else he's averaging here. 3.7 rebounds, 2.2 assists. His PRAs is sitting at points plus assist is sitting at 16.5. He's hit that 80% of the time. He's hit his points 70% of the time. We'll go with points here. We'll go with points, and we'll go track bet at 15.5 plus 100, even odds. So we'll go with Jonathan Kuminga over 15.5 points plus 100 via Fanatics. So we're getting some breaking news here as we're starting this stream. Jonathan Kuminga is going to start tonight for the Golden State Warriors. It seems that they want to implement him into the gameplay tonight, especially versus the Lakers, who are not great at the forward position. They've got Rui Hachimura, who I think is a strong 3-4 combo forward. But other than that, they really lack the defensive prowess. I think Jared Vanderbilt, let's go look at him on Twitter. I think the Vandalorian, is going to get a good amount of playing tonight. Vanderbilt. Let's see. Jared Vanderbilt. Latest. Let's see. Is Jared Vanderbilt going to be in the starting lineup for the Lakers tonight? Luka, Gabe Vincent, Austin Reeves, Rui Hachimura. No, Vanderbilt is not going to be in the starting lineup, I don't believe. Let's see if I could find a better, more reliable post. Lakers starting lineup tonight. Let's look for an official person. Luka, Gabe Vincent, Austin Reeves, Rui Hachimura, DeAndre Ayton. This is correct. The doinksports.com, we can trust it. Confirmed these guys are starting. So bench props, Vando is probably not even getting props right now. I think that there are several guys that are going to have a good night. Let's look at the Lakers bench props. Trace Jackson Davis doesn't have any props. Quentin Post doesn't have any props. Marcus Smart is a guy that's going to come off the bench for the Lakers. He's averaging 15.1 in his last 10. This is versus Golden State. He's averaging 9.5 in his last 10. That sounds more likely. Dalton Connect, no props. Bronny, no props. Jackson Hayes, no props. Jared Vanderbilt has got some props. Very interesting. I wonder how many minutes he's going to play tonight. By the way, guys, I'm looking at all this because this is one of my favorite players in the league. Jared Vanderbilt, in my opinion, is a top 10 defender in the league. He just does not play enough because, quite frankly, he is a liability on the offensive end of the court. I mean, you can see in games, let's filter out in games that he plays 20-plus minutes. He's averaging 9.2 points per game. And he's only averaging 1-3 in 10 games. Not great, right? So this is not somebody that I'm expecting to play high volume minutes for the Lakers this season. The one prop that I do want to look at, the ball is going to be in this guy's hands for the vast majority of the night, is Luka Doncic. And his line for assists right now is at 7.5. I am going to go, I think we can, let me go back to Luka here. Can we filter more filters? Filter usage percentage. And we will say higher than eighth, I believe let's look at what his average usage percentage was without LeBron James first. We're going to get big analytical tonight. I'm trying to plug you guys into the system here at Doink Sports. So without LeBron James, we'll look at games that happened in March. So this is after the trade. We've got 5 games on the prop here. Average usage, 40%. 40%. So we're going to take a look, more filters, and we're going to filter usage percentage. And we're going to say more conservatively, more than 33% usage player. Last 10. He's averaging 34.5 points per game, 5 of 10 from 3, 7.4 rebounds, 6.4 assists. That assist number is actually really low, and the prop that I was going to go was Luka over 8.5 assists. I will stick away from that prop because the statistics are telling me so. Look at, these are all games that he had versus or with the Lakers, right? Let's see what his PRAs is. Let's see what his PRA line is. PRAs is at 47.5, only hit that 40% of the time. His points plus rebounds is at 38.5. That hit 90% of the time. Ooh. I knew I would do it. I knew I would find the value here. So we're going to go Luka over, and we're going to take an alt line here for the plus value. 38.5 over 39.5 points plus rebounds. PRs plus 104 via FanDuel. Now, you want to talk about value, ladies and gentlemen? That's how you get it right there. That's the value that you're looking for. If you want to go safer, we see that this line shifts from 9 out of 10 to just 6 out of 10. So he's right on top of the money here at 38.5. I think Luka is going to play at least 35, 36 minutes. And as you can see here, we're trying to filter out games where his usage rate is higher than 33%. And all of these games are where he's gone over that percentage with the Lakers. High rebounds, high points. He's averaging 7.4. This number versus Minnesota is kind of an outlier. I would say the average is more around 8. His line is at 7.5. That's pretty close. He's averaging 34.5 a game. His line's at 30.5. I think that's fairly close. But his average here, points plus rebounds, is 42 comparatively to 38.5. So I think you get a little bit more juice here. Honestly, we'll go safe. We'll make the official pick. We'll make it safe. We'll go over 38.5 points plus rebounds here, minus 111 via FanDuel. I'm not going to go all out and trying to get plus value here. Official pick, 38.5 using the Doink Sports tool. We see here he's got this in 9 of his last 10, specifically with the Lakers. Okay, we are now 5 minutes away from tip-off. I'm going to close out this stream just a tidbit early, guys, because I want to get to this game. I am going to try to drop all my plays real quick. These are all the plays that I talked about and some that I didn't get to talk about. So Hard Rock, yeah, let me write that down real quick. Okay, here we go. These are all of the plays that I've got and I've talked about just a little bit. Jonathan Kuminga, over 15.5 points, plus 100. Golden State Warriors and the Lakers, over 227.5, plus 100. Clint Capella, over 7.5, plus 344. Long shot play of the night. I've got one more for this Lakers versus Warriors game. I don't think that he's going to hit this, but if he plays 15 minutes, he's hit that number in 8 of his last 10. Obviously, it's a new team with Houston. It's not something that I'm banking on tonight. This is just like to cover the cake, right? Cover the cake and all of that icing. DeAndre Ayton, over 11.5 rebounds, plus 140. I think he's going to play a solid 30-plus minutes tonight. He's going to be the biggest guy on the court all night long, and I think he's grabbing that 11.5 rebounds. He's going to play down low for the majority of the night. Rui Hachimura, over 12.5 points. He's one of the only forwards on this team who can sort of shoot the three. I think the Lakers are going to try to spread out and run a offense very similar to what the Mavericks ran when they were running with Derek Lively, Luka, oh goodness, I'm blanking. Not Dwight Powell, but oh my gosh, Dorian Finney-Smith a couple years ago, I think is going to be Rui. And how do I know that? Well, they brought in Dorian Finney-Smith last year for the Lakers, and that's the role that he played. So I think Rui and Dorian Finney-Smith are pretty much the same player, except Dorian Finney-Smith can shoot the ball a little bit better. Luka, over 38.5 points plus rebounds. Draymond Green, second long shot play of the night, over 6.5 assists plus 230. Stephen Curry, over 27.5 versus the Lakers, man. He torches them, especially on the road. Steven Adams, over 7.5 rebounds. Clint Capella, over 4.5 rebounds. Kevin Durant, over 24.5 points. Alperen Sengun, this is one of those riskier plays, but I like it. Over 18.5 points. And then OKC and Houston, under 225.5. I think it's going to be a tough game for some role players. Everybody's got to get their legs under them. I think defense is going to be a little bit better than usual in this game, just because I think offense, it's hard to get your legs under you and shoot the rock. Thank you to everybody that tuned in. Guys, go check me out on social media, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, @Plaisant. I try to post as much as I can about college football, NFL, and now especially the NBA. And then last but certainly not least, check out doinksports.com. I've dropped my plays. These are just what I'm going with tonight. We've built up over 50 units in positive play using this tool. I would strongly recommend that you do it for yourselves. Educate and leverage everything that you do when using this tool, because you can bet against the sports books here, guys. You are trying to make value. Educate yourself, bet responsibly, gamble responsibly. All that being said, the NBA is freaking back. I could not be more ecstatic about that. I'll be watching both of these games in full time tonight. Thanks you guys so much for tuning in.